Here's Brody Brazil.
Well, this is going to be a quick video just to share 3 quotes I feel are highly applicable to the industry that I'm in. And I'm not talking about sports. I'm not even talking about broadcasting. I'm talking about media in general. Across the last 2+ decades of being on the job, I go back to these quotes a lot and say, wow, they really fit this field. Now, I also want you to know, as I share the quotes with you, you'll notice that some of the words used are dated. They're a bit time-stamped to the era that they come from. So we'll get to that when we get to that. But let's just dive right in. We'll begin with Edward R. Murrow. He was talking here about television, and he said this, quote, "This instrument can teach, it can illuminate, yes, and even it can inspire. But it can only do so to the extent that humans are determined to use it to those ends. Otherwise, it's nothing but wires and lights in a box." End quote. Think about that for a second. He calls television an instrument. And by the way, this is from the 50s, during an era where television had kind of just superseded radio. It was the big new thing and medium that everybody was paying attention to, kind of like right now, how the internet and social has taken everybody's attention away from, traditional television just a little bit. So I don't think we have to get that specific on calling it just television. I'm talking about anything with a screen. Let's kind of transition this quote to the current era and say he's talking about anything with a screen. It could be on your phone, your tablet, your laptop, whatever. However you consume content, it's an instrument. And it can teach, it can illuminate. You can learn, you can laugh, you can cry, you can feel all the emotions, you can be educated, you can be entertained. That is the capability of something like television or just even video creation overall. This is kind of why I got into it. It's such a powerful way to express creativity, to share messages, but it can only do so to the extent that humans are determined to use it to those ends. Essentially, this is great technology. This is powerful technology. There's so much reach here. There's so much human investment, but it's only worth what humans put into it, what humans are determined to use it for. Otherwise, it's just lights and wires in a box. I think that's powerful. And that quote right there inspires me to make things that are hopefully special and memorable and are something you'll want to share and talk about and not forget. So that one right there, this is kind of the 3 I'm going to share. Some different styles coming at you, but this one is of the motivational theme. I think if you're in it for this business, if you're in this business for this reason, it's a really good thing. All right, this next one is a doozy, and it comes to us from Theodore Roosevelt, who was not specifically talking about media or television here because he didn't even make it to 1920, so he didn't really know the current landscape of what this business is like. But the quote, very applicable to a lot of things in life, but especially media in the current age. I also want to point out here, he uses the expression man a lot. It doesn't have to apply specifically to the male gender. Quote, "It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again because there is no effort without error and shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat." And I guess this is a personal take on the job that is working in the media. There are so many critics out there. There are so many assumptions out there. People base things on what they see on a screen or what they hear from another source, and they don't actually know you or what you're going through, or they think it's easy, and they are there to spectate and speculate. That's actually, I didn't think about that in advance. Spectate and speculate, those two things. And it's easy to do those things from the stands, from the bleachers, from the sidelines. But when you are actually in the arena, when your face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, and when you strive valiantly, and when you make mistakes and you pick yourself back up and you don't let it bother you, like that's what making it in the media business, quite honestly, is all about. You're going to fail. You're going to have mistakes. You're going to have things you weren't happy with. You're also going to have those great moments. And I think those are described here too. But to understand the great moments, you have to have the rough patches as well too. And you have to actually be the one doing things, not talking about them, not pretending, not criticizing everybody else. The doer of deeds. That's the person that you want to be in this business. Anyway, I know this quote gets passed around in a bunch of different ways and levels and professions. I feel like it's highly applicable in the media business, probably the sports business too, and not just the arena reference, but it kind of gives you an idea that if you're on the inside doing it, just showing up and doing your thing and doing it with integrity is more than half the battle. All right, and last but not least, from complex to quite simple, I don't know where this comes from. I know who told it to me. Don't meet your heroes. I don't know if anybody ever coined that phrase, but I know who told it to me. Dontrelle Willis. That's right. The D-Train, Alameda's own. Former Major League pitcher, current professional baseball analyst on network television. Dontrelle, what a great dude. I actually covered him playing high school baseball, and then we worked together a couple years ago. But he's been around and he understands this like a lot of people do. Don't meet your heroes. What do you mean by that? Don't meet your heroes. Why would you not want to? I don't think there's two businesses that put people up on a platform and a pedestal and give them a persona that may not actually be them, like media and like sports. For example, if you're in media, you could even be like an actor and you play the bad guy all the time. People pose you in real life as a bad person. That's got to be your persona, right? When in reality, it's not. Or vice versa. How about the good person in the movie, the hero who's always right, does the best things, but in real life, terrible person, you would not want to spend more than 5 seconds with them. That happens all the time. And it's also very prevalent in sports. You like a certain team. Player X wears that jersey professionally. They do it as an obligation. That's who they were contractually obligated by, your team. And they do their job well. And they've got a smile on their face when they do their job well. So instantly you feel like, oh, I've got a connection to that person. But you don't know that person. This is not real life. What you're watching on television, what you're watching them do on the field of competition, that's not necessarily them. Now, sometimes the real them comes out on the field of play or during professional sports interactions. And that's the part I love about sports, when you get to know and learn people, as who they are, people. Not just, oh, I think I like that person, and then in real life you find out that you don't. I can't tell you how many times I've met somebody. And I'm not going to say that they're terribly good or bad or not what I expected, but actually, yeah, I'm going to tell you it's not what I expected a lot of times. And sometimes it's a pleasant surprise. Other times, it's a huge disappointment. Ooh, that person's not who I thought they were. Could just be attitude, politeness, their background, how they treat other people. It's just a lot of things that you're like, whoa. And yeah, everybody has a bad day, and you can't always judge somebody maybe by a first interaction, but if that is the first impression you have, And look, no person who's popular and in the spotlight, they can't be on their, A game every day. So I do want to give some people the benefit of the doubt here. But I'm just saying, oftentimes you come across people that you had built up pretty high in your head. And when you meet them and you interact with them and you kind of consume them a little bit as a real person, it is not what you expected. So hopefully you enjoyed those 3 quotes. They just, to me, they really apply after more than 2 decades in this business.